Talk Radio 1450 WCTC. Call Jersey Central at 732-545-9282. Toll free at 888-545-9282. Watch Jersey Central live online at WCTCAM.com or listen on your smartphone with the iHeartRadio or TuneIn apps. Connect with WCTC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube by searching 1450 WCTC. And now, back to Jersey's Morning Show. Jersey Central with Bert Barron.
7:38. We're back on Jersey Central on the new Talk Radio WCTC, the voice of Central Jersey. Inside the Ford's Jeweler studio today. Good to have you here. 732-545-9282 is our phone number. We're going to have our contest sometime between now and 8 o'clock. All right, so be ready to call in. I'll have your chance to win some tickets to the Golden Oldies Spectacular, which is coming up November 12th at the State Theater in New Brunswick. Let's get to the Raritan Bay Medical Center Jersey Newsmaker Hotline, and welcome back one of my favorite contributors just because of what he can offer on a particular topic. He's an author, a speaker, a coach, talks about parenting and relationships and addiction and bullying and things like that. He's Tom Gagliano, who's been on the show before, and I wanted to just get his take on a pretty tragic story that came out of Staten Island recently. Tom, good morning. Welcome back to the WCTC, Tom. How are you?
Great, Bert. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Sure. You know, when I first saw this story here, I said, this is the guy I got to talk to, was Tom Gagliano about this. This is about a 13-year-old boy in Staten Island who left a suicide note and took his own life. And among the things in the note that he lists here is that his complaints and his issues that he brought to the attention of the people at the school about the bullying that he was dealing with, he claims that they didn't do anything to help him, and it drove him to the point that he took his own life. What was your initial reaction when you first got word of this story, Tom?
Horrible tragedy. A young kid like that. I have 4 kids, Bert. You know, I related a lot to the dad. I related a lot to the situation. I was a bully as a kid. I related a lot to the bullies of just wanting to just torture and hurt people the way they're hurting. Usually bullies come from families and environments that there's bullying in the home environment, and or the child feels like they're not important and they're hurting inside and they hurt other kids that way. So I related to a lot of things in this story.
Yeah, it's awful. And just kind of reading through the note here, at one point he's like, I had a lot of friends, my life was great, things were going well, and then all of a sudden things just kind of took a turn for the worse. And there's even one point in the note, Tom, where he says that in a fight with somebody who was bullying him, he actually broke his hand. He broke his pinky or something that had to get x-rayed and whatnot. What goes through a parent's mind when your kid is fighting in school and then with a broken hand? Isn't that enough of a red flag that says, look, I got to get involved here because this is just way out of control? Didn't they ever get to that point that they said, we got to look at this?
You know, there's a lot of things in here that I'm sure we don't know happen, or we're reading that happen. The tragedy like this, the family, the school gets afraid, the reputation, they feel bad for the kid. The parents are destroyed by all this. I think everybody has a little piece in this, a little piece that they could have done something more. And I think what happens in situations like this, you kind of just don't look at your responsibility in this because you're either protecting yourself or you're hurting too much inside. So I think everybody does. I tell parents all the time when it comes to bullying situations, in the beginning, let your child try and get out of their own messes. Let your child sit on the other side of the class. Don't talk to the bullies. Tell the teacher. Let them learn coping mechanisms because, Bert, no matter what we do in this world, we're not promised a perfect life, and we have to learn coping mechanisms as we get older and we deal with things. Now, when a child is in impending danger, they got to go to their parents. Parents have to step in. There's a lot of things about this that I don't know really what happened. The parents, you need to keep talking to your child, and certainly if a child gets to the point that they break their hand, I wouldn't send the child to school. I would do something very drastically. Now, on the other hand, the principal, Rosemary McGoldrick, said that there's 3 mandatory sessions for the children, and after that, the parents need to give consent for more sessions. So supposedly she said she asked the parents about continuing sessions, and they refused. So, there's so many things in here that happen from the school standpoint, from the parent standpoint, from all standpoints, that they're a little mysterious here. But, Bert, what I always say about the school systems is we have to have a better follow-up. When a child's bullied, when a child goes through these things, You can't just leave it alone. You got to go back a month later, a week later, 2 months later. There's got to be a follow-up situation where you're constantly talking to the child. The parents have to constantly talk to the child. What's going on? What do you think we need to do? Let your child tell you what they think you need to do. So you're a team. You have to be a team with the school. So there's a lot of things here that, again, I don't know the whole situation. I'm just reading articles and stuff that seem to just fall to the waistline, to the side. And again, the most important thing is parents, teachers, talking to the child. Keep updated on what the child's feeling, what they're going through. That's the whole key, because when a child starts to isolate and they start to become a victim to bullies and they're not talking to anybody, that's usually the stepping stones before the tragedy of suicide comes in.
Yeah, then it becomes kind of the point of no return there, unfortunately. Let me share with you, Tom, a quote from the dad, and maybe you can kind of tell me where his head is with all this going on. To the parents of the boys that tormented my son, all I have to say is I hope you never have to feel what my family is going through right now. You get to hold your children every night and day for the rest of your lives and their natural lives. I don't get that anymore. Your little monsters took that from me and my wife. Where is his head? I understand what he's saying until then. When he gets to that last line, that's a little bit unsettling to me, where he says, your little monsters took that from me and my wife. This guy, is he bent on vengeance or something?
Yeah.
What's going through his head as you hear this?
This is the thing, too. Look, I would imagine that any parent that loses a child to suicide has to have some amount of guilt. I know I would. Now, I'm not saying they did anything wrong, but of course, could I have done this different? Could I have done that different? And, Bert, when I wrote my first book, The Problem Was Me, that says it all. I mean, we have to look at ourselves and our own part in situations in order to change. We can't change the world. We can change ourselves. And I think here the man has a little anger within himself, and maybe he could have done something different. And, when you're talking to bullies, and again, most bullies come from environments at home. Everything begins in the home. Everything. Bullying, the victim mentality, the addictions, everything begins in the home. And he's talking to people that I'm sure probably can make their own story right and say, oh, this kid just had his own problems, or it wasn't my kid. My child can't be blamed for this, because everybody looks at the scope through their own lenses, and I'm sure that they feel also that maybe that this guy is probably it's not our fault that the child did this. So everybody over here, nobody is doing The Problem Was Me. Nobody's taking their own inventory. Nobody's looking into this, taking their own responsibility. The school systems, unfortunately, are so afraid of getting sued half the time that the teachers, even if they want to do certain things, probably can't do certain things. So you have to look into even the whole system of, again, as I said before, going back, follow-ups, not 3 sessions and that's it. Although the principal said that she did send him wanted consent to do further sessions, and he refused. What's that about? You know what I mean, Bert? There's a lot of stuff in here that we probably don't know happened or didn't happen.
Yeah, one last thing, and this is a quote, Tom, from the diocese. This is actually a Catholic school that he was attending there in Staten Island. A statement from a spokesperson for the diocese says, in light of this tragedy, we are re-examining all bully prevention policies and training. The principal, teachers, and staff of Holy Angels Catholic Academy are heartbroken over the loss. We take the issue of bullying very seriously and address every incident that is brought to our attention. Well, it doesn't sound like they took it seriously at all, Tom. If he was making noise about what he was going through, and it sounds like on a regular, if not daily basis, sounds to me like they didn't take this seriously at all.
Yeah, and Bart, it's terrible to say this, but we always have to have devastations, to have miracles, and these are the things, unfortunately, and it's horrible to say, but these are the things that'll get people to pay more attention to what they should pay attention to. Hopefully they'll look at this and they'll look back and they'll say, okay, we need to instill this, we need to instill that. These follow-ups that I'm talking about, it's not just having sessions with the child, it's having sessions with the parents as well. It's a whole family environment situation here. It's not just having, talking to the bullies, it's talking to the bullies' parents as well. You have to get the whole family environment, whoever is involved in this, in the situation. And like I said before, I spoke to teachers, I know teachers, and there's some teachers that want to do more, but they're also held back by the system as well. They want to keep their jobs. They don't want to be whatever the reasons are. So this has to start at the top, and like all things, when the top is right, it trickles down to all the other areas that need to be worked on.
Yeah, always appreciate your input and your opinion, Tom. That's for sure. Where can someone go to find out more about your books and about your offerings?
Go to my website, theproblemwasme.com. That's theproblemwasme.com, and they can get my book, The Problem Was Me, or my new book, Don't Put Your Crap in Your Kid's Diaper. The cleanup course can last a lifetime. And I'm on Facebook Live today at 1 o'clock, too, Bert, if anybody wants to join me talking tech kids, creating that safe place for our children where they could share their struggles with us, whatever those struggles are.
All right. Real good, Tom. Appreciate the time as always, and I'm sure we'll be calling on you again as things like this kind of, I don't know. I'd like to think that it never happens again, but I don't live in a naive world, Tom. So
nobody's promised a perfect life, Bert.
Yeah. All right. Thank you as always, my friend. All right.
Take care.
You
Thanks,
too.
Bert.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. Tom Gagliano, my guest.